Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Tati. Let's talk about two topics. One thing about having more AEW pay per views, and also about Jade Cargill going to WWE. First things first, I cannot imagine AEW having like 12 pay per views a year, maybe even 10, just to let us breathe a little bit. I don't think it's a good idea. First things first, I really do think that Tony Khan should be not looking at just the positive outcomes when it comes to professional wrestling, but also look at some of the things that have not worked throughout professional wrestling. Like, why isn't he looking back to see why other promotions and territories did not work, and also try to apply those reasons to making his promotion a stronger promotion? It just seems like if he's not careful, it's going to be one of those reoccurring things where we're going to see in a few years another promotion going down the damn drain, and then we're back to having WWE to be our main source of professional wrestling. Please, God, don't let that happen. Now, personally, I don't think that Tony Khan has a strong enough product to be able to do more pay-per-views. The thing is that he knows that when his guys and girls get in the ring, they give us a pretty much a solid pay-per-view almost every single time. um, so far, we only got like seven pay per views with AEW, and not to mention three pay per views with ROH. That's a lot. First of all, Tony Khan, you a millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is that your daddy got. Um, you kind of got to think about the people who are watching. The people who are watching are average people who work 9 to 5, who live in their mama basement or whatever situation is. Do you think everybody can afford to pay $50 a month for another pay per view? Hell to the nah. That is just another fucking bill to pay. Some people have bills that cost way less than what a pay per view costs. So personally, he has to look at least a streaming service that would be have these pay per views included into those prices, so it could be cheaper for the fans in the long run, because people are going to get turned off by having to constantly pay every month for a pay per view. Now, to keep that in mind, you also have to make them want to pay that $50 for the pay per view. When you have a pay per view, on a Saturday, and then Wednesday is when you finally starting to put things together, when you had a month or 2 months, fucking the whole year to tell something even long term, and you don't take advantage of that time, and you trying to give people bullshit a couple of days before pay-per-view. That's a huge turnoff. That's another reason why people are like, nah, I don't want to buy it. And I hear it all the time. Well, the build isn't that great. That should sell me. People are going to want to be sold onto why it is they should spend that type of money on a pay-per-view. Now, personally, I have spent, well, I don't know, but I spent a good amount of money on pay-per-views. Now, when I first started watching AEW, like 2 or so years ago, I was a little bit more sold into the pay-per-views. And plus, they had less pay-per-views. So every year they're adding another pay-per-view. So this year we have seven AEW pay-per-views. ROH typically gets three. So if you're into ROH and you want to watch that too, now you have more money to spend. And I just don't think it's solid enough. Now, personally, ROH, three pay-per-views, that's a big gap in between each pay-per-view. And I have not yet seen a bad ROH pay per view. Not a bad one yet. Top to bottom, they've been solid. AEW, I can't say the same. The one pay per view I did not like was Double or Nothing. I kind of felt like there was only two matches on there that I actually cared about. Everything else kind of felt like Tony Khan put everything together last second, and it just things just wasn't making sense. And that's another thing you have to think of is, do things make sense going into the pay-per-view? And if they don't make sense, people are not going to be interested in buying the pay-per-view. So now we have another pay-per-view added, which is Wrestle Dream, which is on October 1st. This is supposed to be a tribute to Antonio Inoki on the day of his passing. So I get it. I understand. Is this going to be a annual thing? I'm not sure. I don't believe he said that. I don't remember him saying that. But great, you're doing a tribute show. So far, we got some really great matches on the card, and I'm cool with. But the build to it needs to be a little bit more. I'm not even sure why we getting Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli on a fucking Wednesday night when that could have been on the pay-per-view, putting both titles on the line. I don't know. There's just something about Tony Khan where he is just not putting his all into AEW. He have other businesses that he has. And then he got ROH that's just getting a little bit more boring every time I watch it, but it's like you need to do more. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea. I think he needs to focus more on AEW, ROH, and getting people that can help him with the booking. Because one thing that drew me into pro wrestling isn't just the matches itself, even though that's my favorite part of pro wrestling. The best part to make those matches feel like something are the stories. And when you're not telling anything and you're trying to get a story being told in just 2 hours before a pay per view, people are just not going to be interested. All right, so on to the hot topic that everybody and their mama has been talking about, which is Jade Cargill going to WWE. Now, I did look on AEW's roster page. She's not on there. I also looked on AEW shop as well, which for whatever reason, I don't ever really remember seeing her there. I don't even remember if what any of her merch looked like, to be honest. I don't see her on there as well. And also, on the alumni page, she's not on there. The only alumni that are there is CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. So I don't see her at all. So personally, just because she's not there, I don't think that that means that she's going to WWE. People are like, oh, they've seen her in Florida. She's in Orlando. But does she live out there though? Like she does definitely live in Florida. I know that. Um, I don't know if she lives in the Orlando area or whatever, but it's so funny how people keep saying that they're seeing these things, no pictures, no nothing, because you guys know how the dirt sheets are. You know how fans are. If they see something out of the ordinary, everybody has a fucking phone and everybody will be taking pictures. Yet we have not seen any of those things. Now, personally, I don't feel like that means she's going to WWE. She has a really great presence. Like somebody could literally be watching her and be like, you know what, let's get her on a movie. Let's get her on a TV show. Let's get her doing something. She used to play basketball. She probably want to venture back into that, whatever situation is. Or she could just be taking a fucking vacation. Who knows? I don't really feel like just because you don't see somebody that means that they're automatically going to WWE. Personally, I think that AEW didn't think that she's also a strong wrestler as well. And I think that too. She was in matches where um, most of her opponents weren't really credible. You know, most of her matches were squash matches, people that you've never seen, people who just come to have one match in AEW and then they're gone. The most notable person she went against, obviously, Chris Statlander and Taya Valkyrie. Everyone else, I can't even really remember. Could you really remember at least five of her opponents? No. They kept her away from people like Britt Baker, Tony Storm, um, Saraya, Hikaru Shida. They did that, I do believe, personally, because she would not be able to match up with these girls. So, and that's no shade towards her or anything, because I do think she's pretty awesome. I think she has the whole package outside of actually wrestling, and I do think that she needs to work on her in-ring work. And if she were to go to WWE, because of the fame that she's gotten from AEW, she could shoot up straight to the main roster. However, I don't think she's great enough to be in the ring with Bianca and Charlotte and Rhea and everything. She needs more work, and that would require for her to go back to the way back to the performance center. She can move through NXT and nothing wrong with going through there as well, but I do think she made a big enough name where she can go to the main roster and be able to be successful there. But then here's another thing. She's the first person, if she were to go to WWE, she would be the first person from AEW to go over there. And Cody Rhodes don't count. Cody Rhodes obviously was in WWE before, and that's not the same thing. So how would WWE take someone like Jade and make her their star? I believe they will probably change her name, most likely, because if you hear Jade Cargill, you're definitely going to think AEW, and they're going to want to do whatever they can to try not to have you look at Jade and think AEW. They want you to look at her and think WWE at that point. So I can see it definitely a name change, and it'll change a lot of things about her, which is something that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes WWE, they just want names just to have them, and then they're there and they're just a waste of space. Sorry to say, people like Ricochet, who should be somewhere else in his career, and he's just coasting on by and not really getting much. There's a lot of people on the roster of WWE who are in that position, and I would hate for Jade to go over there and be in that same position as well. It would just be a total waste just for them just to have her and no one else. Now, moving forward, if she goes to WWE, that would be great. That's not going to convince me to want to watch the product more either. Maybe for some people they do. And I do find it interesting that people like to shit on AEW and their roster, but then they can't wait to have people from their roster go to WWE. I don't think that just because WWE is the bigger and better promotion that they will use those people better, because remember, there are a lot of people who were in WWE who are on AEW roster and they did not get treated the way they should. Look at fucking Claudio Castagnoli. I cannot, till this day, I can't believe they dropped the ball on this guy. This guy is a fucking amazing, and for WWE to miss a ball on him, that's absolutely insane. But Jade Cargill, if she goes there, that's great. If she have other things outside of wrestling that she's going to take seriously, that's great for her to have those opportunities as well. But I definitely cannot say that she's going to WWE. And if she does go there, I hope that they use her well. And this will be great to see for people who are in AEW who might want to go to WWE, to see how they treat someone like Jade coming from AEW to WWE. It'll be really interesting if that is the case. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video. I have a review to do for the Netflix documentary called Wrestlers. If you didn't see it, go ahead and check it out. If you just want to wait for my review, I'll have that on for you guys later on today. It's very interesting.